There's nobody on the planet who is a bigger fan of Courtney Lee than myself. But he's over 30 years old, he's making $12 million for the next 3 seasons, he still has some value in him. He's not on our timeline, and I think we can get some draft picks for the guy. What I wanted to do first was actually get a first-round pick for him from a contender, but it's not exactly easy for a contender to take on $12 million. So the next team I want to look at is kind of a contender, I think, the 76ers. They're the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I guess the young dudes are just taking things over immediately, and this was the move I initially set on. We get 2 second-round picks. Jared Bayless is on 1 less year on his contract than Courtney Lee is. It also makes sense for the Sixers because TJ McConnell is already a good backup point guard for them. So the way I looked at it was like, yeah, they have 1 extra year on a deal with Courtney Lee, but he's a better player than Bayless, and it actually helps out our money situation because Bayless is on 1 less year. And they were like, no. And now they want Houston's 2020 first. I am not giving that pick up. I'm holding on to that pick for dear life because we need as many first-round picks as we can get. But I compromised, okay, I'll give you a second because I'll still get 2 second-round picks this year. I don't know, I'm a little impatient. They didn't want to do that, they're still insisting on the first. Okay, Philadelphia is not going to happen. But then I look to the Detroit Pistons, who have Langston Galloway, who I'm not really that big of a fan of, but he can at least be a serviceable backup shooting guard. He's on the same amount of years as Courtney Lee, but he's making about $5 million less. So it still is good for our salary. And we can get 2 second-round picks from the Pistons. This is a hefty move, okay? Basically, we would end up with 2 seconds, Langston Galloway. Pistons and the 76ers make a small little swap just to make the money work or whatever. Can we get this move? I really want 2 second-round picks. There we go. So we're beefing up our draft picks. Now we have a pick in 2018 from the Pistons. We have 2 in 2019. We've also got that Rockets 2020 first. We're doing what we can. I would have loved to have gotten a first-round pick for the guy, but he's a little too old and his contract wasn't the best. Anyway, let's just have a moment of silence for Courtney Lee. Okay, Courtney, have fun in Detroit. Okay, season's over. Because, I don't know, we just passed the trade deadline, I made the moves we wanted to make, I didn't think we would make the playoffs, which we did not, although we won a few too many games than I would like, I'll be honest on that one. I just didn't think we really needed to go through the whole thing for the last couple of months of the season. Now we can just highlight the seasons that were had. Porzingis, the scoring is not what I want. I would want the guy to be around 24, 25 points a game, given that he's by far the top option on the team and all that. But you know what? We're going to have to find a way to get his scoring up there instead of yelling at 2K about it. Maybe it means more post-ups. He did attempt about 5 3-pointers a game this season, so I don't think it's really the threes. He could always attempt more, of course, but I think 5 is a pretty generous number. Tim Hardaway Jr. My thing with Hardaway, in the perfect world I see for the guy, which is a 6th man for us, the 15 points is great, and I would hope that he could be a good 3-point shooter, which he was a really good one for us. He shot around 38% while taking around 7 a game, which was great. And also making plays for other guys, and I think that's just what I want him to be. You know, a playmaking, 3-point shooting 6th man for us, and, you know, he's starting for right now, it's whatever. Beasley was actually really good as a role player. He was very efficient. Shot well from 3, shot well from pretty much everywhere. And I would like to keep him. I assume he's going to see what he can get on the open market. If we were going to re-sign him, I think it would be for about $5-6 million a season. I feel like that's what he deserves given the year he just had for us. There is another free agent we're going to be talking about. Frank the Tank. French Frank, who's probably my favorite player in the NBA at this point. Or at least my favorite player on the team. Notice the lockdown defender tag. In the player training thing, I told you I was going to focus on 2 things, his defense and his 3-point shooting. Now, I should have gotten a screenshot of his defensive attributes, but 2K is currently going through an update. And I'm not lying on that one for Xbox. His defensive stuff is pretty much all in the high 70s. His on-ball defense is a 79, everything else is around 76, 77. His 3-point shot was great. So Ntilikina had pretty much the exact rookie season that I wanted him to have, which was 10 points, about 4.5 assists, good defense, good shooting, and just being a really good part of the team. I don't even picture him really forcing the issue in his second season, but it'll be a little bit more than this one. Hernangomez did not get enough attention from me during the year. He was grabbing rebounds. I'll definitely give him credit for that one. 9 boards a game for a dude who was playing around the 20s for us. I would say he was around 22, 23 a game once he was moved to the second unit. And he was still grabbing a lot of rebounds. And his inside scoring, I mean, it was alright enough for what we were asking from him. He almost averaged 10 points and 10 rebounds, and he played most of the season off the bench. So I'd say he was pretty good. And I do picture him in the long term being here, and he was actually able to improve his plus-minus quite a bit once we moved him to the bench. Maybe he's a better bench player, I don't know. His plus-minus actually ended up being better than Kyle O'Quinn's. Terrence Ferguson, the threes managed to fix themselves as he's shooting now 36% from out there on 2.5 a game, which is pretty good. I would like him to be our starting small forward at some point. I don't think that's going to happen right now. If we do re-sign Beasley, maybe it's him. There was also a trade rumor about Maurice Harkless that I'm not kidding about. Maybe we could explore that this offseason. I probably should have showed the screenshot of him, but whatever. We'll probably talk about that in the next video. Don't forget that one, even though I'm giving you all the reason in the world to forget about it. Kyle O'Quinn is the other free agent, next to Michael Beasley. He's got a player option. He's probably going to accept it based on him saying he loves New York and that contract screen thing. I don't know. Those two combined might cost about $10 million. We might have to make a sacrifice on that one. But I say it was a good enough season. Next up, we're going to be looking at probably the draft lottery.